Hello and welcome to the 160th of a second photography podcast. At the time of recording this, there's a lot of promotion about the iPhone 12. The iPhone 12's just come out, everyone's reviewing it. It looks great. It looks amazing. And yes, I want one. I'm not necessarily going to rush out and buy one. I've never really bought the most up-to-date smartphone. I've never had a flagship smartphone. Well, I have the iPhone 6S, and that was flagship some time ago. But I never have the current flagship smartphone, I should say. I will always get iPhone. I've got so much the Apple ecosystem, it makes sense for me to stick to iPhone. I like iPhone. I find Android a bit annoying. I have had an Android phone, and it made me decide to get an iPhone. I think the Android phone was my first smartphone. It was a Samsung one. It was pretty good. And it made me think, no, I'll get an iPhone. So I did. And really the point of this episode today is to talk about, will I ever buy another digital camera? Or will you ever buy another digital camera? Because the iPhone 12 looks very capable at shooting video, and it looks very capable at shooting photography. And their phones are only going to get better. So for most of us, would we just make do with a phone and not have a specific camera? I'm not talking about professionals, although it's an interesting question. Would a professional ever use a phone? I don't think a professional would use a phone, simply because the client they're working for would think, I could have done that myself with my phone. Why am I paying someone to do it? So you need a barrier to entry if you're a professional. So as a professional, you can say, I passed that barrier to entry. I've invested in all this kit, so you don't have to. You pay me, I do it. You don't have to buy all that kit. Subliminally, that's what you're saying as a professional, rather than I've got 12 years experience. It's more about the barrier to entry and not doing it yourself. There are other considerations of professional, but in this episode we'll leave it there. So let's not dispute things. The camera on the iPhone 12 is very good. If you get the Pro version, you've got 3 lenses. If you get another version, you've got 2. And I don't know if anything comes with 1 lens, but there's also the iPhone SE, which I think does come with 1 lens, standard lens. So what I'm getting at is smartphone cameras are very good now. Even if you don't buy the latest one, if you get an 11 or an SE, they're still very good. And they use computational photography. I don't know if they use computational video. I don't know if that's possible yet, but they certainly use computational photography, and they simulate and mimic a shallow depth of field. Of course, with the sensor size, you can't get a shallow depth of field naturally, so they use computational methods to get it. They use computational methods at night time. So think in the 12, you've got night shot. I don't know if you've got it in the SE, but I think you've got it in the 11. And you can't switch it on. With the Pixel phone, you can switch night mode on, but Apple have decided it's automatic. So it will take, essentially does a HDR, I think. It slows your shutter speed down. You've got stabilization in the camera, and it effectively does a HDR. So you get good nighttime photos. So for the vast majority of people, they're probably going to think, I'll just use my smartphone. And that argument's been around for ages. Yeah, but I could do that on my smartphone. Why buy a camera? I can do it on my phone. My phone's good enough for me. And yeah, I think phones have been good enough for people for a long time. And photographers have always said, no, I need a camera. I need a camera for this reason. I need a camera for that reason. But those reasons, I think, are starting to get less and less. I really do think that. And when the promotion and all the fanfare came out for the iPhone 12, I was thinking, will I ever get another camera, or will I just get a smartphone? And I'm a bit unsure. I'm actually looking at buying a camera today, so I've answered my own question there. But then I don't have an iPhone 12. Now, iPhone 12s are going to be around £1,000 for the Pro one, maybe 700 or 800 for the standard one. I don't necessarily need that. I don't need all its computational power. My phone still works remarkably well. So I think, would I rush out and get an iPhone 12? No, is the answer. If I broke my smartphone accidentally, if I dropped it, if someone sat on it, or a rhino fell on it, or whatever, would I get an iPhone 12? Don't know. I'd definitely buy a new one. I wouldn't be without my phone. It's fairly integrated into my life now. I might get the iPhone SE. I might get an older, used iPhone 11. Or I might just go the whole hog and get the 12. I certainly wouldn't be spending £1,000 and getting the 12 Max. I wouldn't do that. I don't think, or the iPhone 12 Pro or the Pro Max or whatever it's called. I don't think I would do that. I'd love to have 3 lenses, a telephoto, a wide and an ultra wide. I think that would be great, be really useful. But I can probably make do with just a wide lens. I don't know if I need all the extra bells and whistles. I'd probably get by with the standard. And I think that's probably the feeling for most people with the iPhone SE. They can get by with it. They don't need all the bells and whistles. And for those type of people, the SE is fantastic. I'm probably one of those people. But there's going to get a point where I'm thinking, do I need a camera or do I need a phone? The other consideration, which I don't think anyone else thinks about, is your phone pretty much has your life on it. It has your emails, it has multi-factor authentication for various services you may use. It's become very integral to your life. The more you hold it out, the more you get it out of your pocket, the more you take photos, the more at risk you are of dropping it. I'm not saying you're doubling your risk. You're not. I'm not saying you're increasing the risk by 10%, but when you start filming with it or taking pictures with it, maybe you're going to be in a precarious situation. And I've talked about this before. I'd rather have an action camera if I'm canoeing. I might take my phone with me because I might need a phone. My phone isn't waterproof, but I could put it in a waterproof case. But the moment I get it out of that waterproof case, I'm at risk of dropping it in the river or dropping it at sea, etc. And it will be very difficult to recover from that. You know, life will go on if you drop your phone in the sea or you can't recover it, but it's just going to be in so much hassle to sort it out. So yes, a phone may replace a camera, but there is a difference between using a camera for video and photography, because if you drop it, yes, you might drop and break your camera, and it might even cost more than a phone. It might be a Pro DSLR or something along those lines, or a very expensive camera. If you drop it, it'll break. If you drop your phone, it'll probably break, but your life isn't on that camera, whereas your life is on that phone. So the question again is, if you have the top flagship smartphone, will you buy a camera? And I'm just going to leave it there. Do let me know your thoughts though. I'd love to hear what you think. I'd love to see what the split on the audience is. No, I'll always buy a camera, or no, a smartphone will do. I'd love to see where people fall into which camp. Thank you. Goodbye.